Hi, guys. Welcome to Real Food Recovery. Welcome back. Today, we are going to finish our two-part series with Dr. Teitelbaum, and we are going to be diving into a conversation that might completely shift the way you think about healing. What if happiness isn't just a nice idea or a personality trait, but a biological strategy for health? What if how you feel every single day is directly regulating your immune system, your inflammation levels, your recovery, and even your cravings? For those of us healing from the effects of ultra processed food use disorder, we often focus on what we're eating. But today, we're talking about what we're feeling. Because the science is clear, our mindset, our emotions, and our internal dialogue are not separate from our physical health. They are driving it. Joining us today, Dr. Teitelbaum is here to talk about his powerful book, Three Steps to Happiness, an easy guide, and how happiness and health are deeply intertwined. This conversation is about empowerment, awareness, and understanding that healing is not just physical, it's emotional and neurological too. And if I haven't bragged on him enough, you have to know that he is one of the most frequently quoted post viral CFS, fibromyalgia, energy, sleep, and pain medical authorities in the world. He is the author of 12 books, including You Can Heal from Long COVID, the best selling From Fatigue to Fantastic, Pain Free 123, The Complete Guide to Beating Sugar Addiction, Real Cause, Real Cure, the Fatigue and Fibromyalgia Solution, and the popular smartphone app Cures A to Z. He is the lead author of 8 research studies and 3 medical textbook chapters on effective treatment for fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. Dr. Teitelbaum appears often as guests on news and talk shows nationwide, including past appearances on Good Morning America, The Dr. Oz Show, Oprah and Friends, CNN, and Fox News Health. Welcome back. I
It's great.
cannot wait for this conversation. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
That's gonna be fun, Paige. I mean, because our natural state of being is happiness. And if you look at little babies and children, you'll get an idea of what we really are like, or kittens and puppies or whatever,
Uh-huh.
before society gets hold of us and starts to mind mess us. Or there's other words for putting it too, but um, and you can be happy. It's not hard to get there. You don't have to wait for anything to happen to be happy. That's kind of a misnomer. I'd be happy when I get the red sports car
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
girl and this house and that. No, you can be happy now. And the funny thing is, when you get happy, then the red sports car and the wonderful wife and the car and the job, all of that then comes in. It's what you draw
Ah.
in that way. So
Ah.
I'm going to give you 3 steps you can do that you can. It'll get you from wherever you are. It can get you to being happy.
You know, I've always heard that we're wired towards the negative, and that's just an internal safety mechanism. But though what you're saying and the fact that we're wired towards the negative, they don't compute. They're not, they don't go together. So which one, where's the truth in that?
Okay, so let me give you a concept. Our psyche, we are in a world that it's not all one. It's like two things. It's split into light and dark, and we have choices. We're in a place where there's opposites, so we can choose. And our consciousness is set up to pose us. It's like when I was a kid, we had little cartoon shows called the Flintstones and the
Oh
Jetsons and
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And you,
yeah.
yeah, I remember the image of Fred Flintstone would be, well, should I do this or that? And the angel on one shoulder would be going, oh, be considerate, and the devil would be going, ah, screw him, it's whatever it was. Yeah. Um, so we have in the Native American traditions, it's like you have the wolf on each shoulder. The one is
Yes.
a negative voice and the one is a positive voice. And it's like this little kid said, Grandma, which is the one that's going to win? And the grandma said, the one you pay attention to.
Hmm.
So
I've
that
heard it said
we're
the one you feed.
the one you feed. Exactly.
Hmm.
So the thing is that we will have the negative and positive voices because that's how we have choice. If we had no choice, this world wouldn't be anywhere near as much fun. How are we going to figure out who we are besides from our choices? So it's set up to have that, not because one is necessarily the devil or the angel, but because that is what creates the world where we have choice and can make to figure out who we are, and it's what makes the world a juicy place to be. But it doesn't mean the world is negative. And it doesn't mean that they have to pay the slightest attention. Okay, thank you for giving me that option. That's not who I am. And it's not like, no, stop giving me that option. It's then that just feeds it. It's like, no, thank you. And shift your attention to what feels good. We'll talk about that today too. But our natural state is happiness. And then when we have the social overlay of shame, guilt, fault, not enough, all these other things, we start taking things personally. Well, spent all day wondering what they think of me. Do they like me? And here's the secret: they're not thinking about you, not for more than a few seconds anyway. They're thinking about what you're thinking about them. Yeah.
Well, let's get into this because you have a book out, Three Steps to Happiness, an easy guide, and you explain that happiness isn't just emotional, it's biological. Do you want to talk about how feeling happy actually strengthens the immune system? Do you want to start there, or would you rather start some other place?
Well, let's start from how to get happy and then the three steps. And then we can talk about the biochemistry of happiness. We can talk about how to handle these different components and why it's happy. Or okay, well, let's go ahead and start with the thing quickly in terms of so are we being happy is a goal in its own. I mean, it just we can live our life being happy, we can be miserable, and different states of being, and
Mm-hmm.
we can feel spiritual, we can feel passionate, we can feel lecherous, feel whatever you want. And you notice I picked some words that we put a positive connotation on spiritual or
Mm-hmm.
lecherous, which is another way of saying passionate. Society builds all these judgment boards in there, so we'll play with those as we go along. But here's the thing: when you feel happy and you feel safe, your immune system takes a cue from that, says, oh, things are okay. And then it goes on just simple, regular patrol mode, and it just keeps things at bay and it stays healthy. It doesn't get overwhelmed or exhausted. But when you're constantly afraid and unhappy and you feel unsafe, your immune system is reading that we are under threat. And then it's on high alert, attacking things that shouldn't, like autoimmune diseases. And then it exhausts because you can't be on high alert forever. You exhaust, and high alert's meant to be for short periods. And then suddenly you're catching everything that comes around. You get adrenal fatigue and the rest of that. So happiness is not simply to be happy, although for me that's why I choose to be happy because I choose it. That's my preference. It has remarkable health benefits too. I mean, I feel like I'm 31. I was born
You're
a long
not?
time ago. It's 30 to 32, but that's okay. And and that's how old I feel. And a
Yeah.
big part of that is because I chose. It's funny when I wrote this book. It was included a compilation of having been in medicine for 30 years back then, and what I learned from people with severe chronic illnesses. What it took for them to
Mm-hmm.
get from where they were to where they wanted to feel and be healthy again. I distilled that into the three steps, and I had gotten the book ready to go, and I realized I'm not happy. I can't publish this book. I'm not happy. So I followed the directions in the book, and 2 months later, I was really happy, and I've been that way since. So then I published it.
Yeah, because you've had some challenges in your life. I don't know if you want to go into that at all, but you
Mm,
have had some big stories to tell about things
mm,
that you've overcome that are just incredibly impressive and inspirational. I don't know if you want to share a little bit of that
Sure.
and how you overcame that.
I'm happy to. So I tend to be very empathic as part of my nature. I grew up in a family where my mom was in Auschwitz, and most of my family who survived had been in the concentration camps. My dad had been in the underground, but and a big part of the community I grew up in, which was a Hasidic Jewish community in Cleveland, were concentration camp survivors. And meanwhile, being pretty empathic, I mean, that's what led me to wanting to be a healer because I felt like I wanted to hide behind a corner, wiggle my fingers, and heal them. It's that kind of a
Hmm.
thing. Um, but taking on everybody's stuff after a while, and then my dad had died, so I was paying my way through college and med school, and was kind of finished college in like 2.5 years, and then on to med school and zipping through. And those were the easiest things in my life. I got caught in the middle of trying to be peacemaker in insane situations, and then I got this nasty viral infection, and it pushed me over the cliff. It was like long COVID, but it just it triggered my CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia, and I couldn't work anymore, and I couldn't go to school, and so no, couldn't work, no scholarship and loan. I was homeless, sleeping in parks, and it's funny, I felt like my world was everything I'd worked for my whole life was gone. I was out of med school. I was no way to become a healer or physician, and I was sleeping in parks in Oklahoma. Um, but it's funny. It's as if the universe, at that point, I just let go of it all and just opened to to spirit. Basically, is what it turned out to be. I mean, you can call it love, you can call it nature, you can call it life, you can call it God, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Um, but the universe is like the universe. It's as if the universe put a holistic homeless medical school sign on my park bench. All these naturopaths came by. I didn't even know there was such a thing. You want to be a healer, you got Jewish boy, you go to med school. I mean, what the hell, herbalists came by, nutritionists came by, all kind of energy workers, people who taught chakra healing, and they all taught me bits and pieces of what I needed to learn to recover. I was able to go back. I didn't realize it, but my uncle said, "Well, I checked with med school. You can go back if you feel
Oh,
up." And I said, "Really?" And it's like, so I did my reentry, got myself well enough to go back to med school, got my honors in medicine, and have focused on, I'm a science geek, and they used to call me the Phantom because 2 to 4 in the morning I'd be in the medical library, going through the stacks of studies and journals and stuff. But what I found is that what we were being taught in medical school was not what the research was showing. It's what the pharmaceutical industry was basically slick pharmaceutical
paying
advertising
for.
masquerading as
Yeah.
science.
Hmm.
And the research showed something very different. It showed that all these natural and nutritional approaches powerfully help health. Um, so I started applying that, and then the rest, there's the stories of the next 50 years in medicine. But this is how I entered into all of this.
Amazing. Amazing. And I ask about that because, as I mentioned to you before, my husband passed away 17 weeks ago as of this recording. And I'm generally, my baseline is a chipper girl, but life events such as that can really, I mean, knock people, take them down at the knees, and so it can be a struggle to get back to baseline when you have these major life moments. So I just didn't want to take it lightly that, oh, it's just a choice and you can be happy all the time, because I don't think that that's the complete picture that you're trying to say. And so do you want to talk more about the keys to being happy, or would you like to start with, or we can do this later, about when you have major life episodes, how you can attain that happiness that we all want?
Let's combine them because
Okay.
this is so. Looking at what you're going through, for example, is an important one. So, step one in the 3 steps to happiness is to feel your feelings, because we have this thing like, well, I shouldn't feel grief, or I shouldn't feel anger, I shouldn't feel hatred, I shouldn't, whatever the different feelings are, we're taught we should feel chipper, light, happy, kind of a thing. It's a social thing, so we don't get annoying to other people.
And can I
um,
say I have been feeling, I have done that when I felt sad. I've allowed myself to cry or take a day at home. I have learned very quickly, just don't fight the grief. Just lean into it and say, okay, I'm going to feel everything, all the icky right now, all the sadness. I'm going to let the tears come. And if I've noticed that when I do that, they come and then they can go. They don't stick around.
Yes, you've learned the important thing, because a lot of us try to block the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and for any of a number of reasons, and the feelings will patiently sit there for like 50 years, as long as you want, as
Mm-hmm.
until you die, until they're
Mm-hmm.
felt. And we
Mm-hmm.
will often try to understand the feeling, rationalize, justify, block, do whatever we need to not actually feel them. We escape
Mm-hmm.
into our mind and think about the feelings. So here's one trick. First of all, well, a couple tricks. First of all, Every feeling we have is valid. Do not question the validity of your feelings. They are valid. What you think you're feeling about is usually not what's going on, though. It's,
Say that one more time.
what we are feeling is valid. And then the brain tries to come up with, oh, well, what triggered it was this person looked at me cross eyed. No, the feelings are feelings that are a pool of feelings that you develop throughout your lifetime. They could be feelings that could be family, they could be community feeling. I mean, you'd be tapping into big pools of feeling.
Hmm.
So do not, there's no need to understand the feelings. Just delete the need to understand them.
You don't need to understand them.
You know, because all you'll do is get a hint of what the trigger is, but that's not what the feeling is about. Simply feel the feeling and feel it and feel it and feel it until it no longer feels good to feel it. Then let go of it. So you'll find during the grief, even though the grief can be horrible and painful, it felt good to grieve. If I could come up to you, Paige, and say, I have a healing technique, it will eliminate your grief over your husband, I'd be like, I don't want that. I want to feel my grief. I love him. I
Do
don't want to
I?
lose him in that way.
Yeah.
Um, and then you'll find then it feels like it's kind of done for this for a while.
Yes. Yeah, it will.
Yeah,
If I'll let feel it to down into my bones, it will not quickly, but start easing up, and then it will subside for, several days, and then it can catch you off guard, and you're like, what just happened? I was fine a minute ago, and now I'm weepy again.
and that's okay. So the thing is, you have the ability, if it comes up at an inconvenient time, then you'll find that you can go ahead and let it know later. And if it comes that you go home and then you allow it to come up, your feelings will start to trust you. And even in places like now where you're starting to feel the feelings come up a bit, but it's okay. The funny thing about this show that you're doing is that it's a safe place in its own way, and it's okay even here. But you'll know where it's safe and you'll know where it's not. Your feelings will tell you that.
Yeah.
So simply what you're doing is perfect. You're feeling what you're feeling and feeling it fully. Don't try to understand it because then you go out of your feelings into your mind. And then,
Oh, good
okay, so,
point.
so go
Yeah.
let it simply feel it until it no longer feels good. When you let go of it, and there's all kinds of techniques in the book, and that we'll talk about that facilitate letting go of the feelings when it's, but you don't want to block them. But when they feel ready and done, then the simplest thing is we all have things that when we think about them, it just makes us smile and makes us feel good. Whether it's our kitty cat, or being in the garden, or being in nature, or watching some silly show or book, or reading, grandkids, whatever it happens to be. Keep a couple of those in your pocket, so to speak, that you can then shift okay, this feeling feels like it's kind of done now. Not when you're in the midst of it, feel it when you're in the midst, but it feels kind of done. Okay, now
Hmm.
let me start thinking about God. Those that hummingbird I saw the other day, and it was whatever feels good to you. Shift your attention to that.
Ah, yeah. Just distraction. Is that
It's
appropriate word?
choosing where you place your attention.
Oh, I love
Distraction
that.
it can start with distraction,
Hmm.
um, but let it be distraction to something that feels good. Don't distract yourself by putting on uh, news media that is, no longer news, but more, see if we can scare people to death and make them hate each other
Yeah.
so that, we get a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
So just turn that
Right.
off. Don't distract yourself with that. Put
Hmm.
on a comedy. I'm,
Yeah.
my wife knows I'll sit there and good old teary when I do romantic comedies or Outlander or whatever, fantasy, romantasy, I guess they call them. So
Hmm.
that's what floats my boat. I like those kind of things. So shift your attention to things that feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like preloading happiness when we fill up our day. And that's what I'm very rigid about my routine right now, and my food, my exercise, my spirituality, my sleep, all those things. I preload the dopamine, the gentle, lovely dopamine, so that I've tried to cross every T and dot every I to pull out all the tools and tricks to make sure that I'm taking care of my health in a holistic way. So you said feel your feelings was number one. Do you have a two and a three?
Yeah, so feel your feelings until they no longer feel good, and then let them go. Number two is make life a no fault system because we're so
Oh,
busy, one, becoming victims. We have a society that where victimization is like rewarded, and well, I'm a bigger victim than you are. Well, I'm black. Well, I'm Jewish. Well, I'm female. Ha ha ha. Ha. I got a crippling disease. It's like, okay, so all of
okay.
these things and more. Um, but there's a six pieces to how to make life a no fault system. Because when you do that, you'll no longer be a victim and you'll be in control of your life. So, no blame, no fault, no guilt, no judgment. Uh, I'm going to make it five, no expectations and no comparisons. We'll do all six. Um, when you start comparing one thing to the other, that naturally becomes divisive and puts you in that
Yes.
negative, the state of mind. We talk about the little devil and the little angel. The devil is constantly trying to divide you from everything. And you see in the media these days, it's like all these, it's like trying to split a diamond. You find these cleavage lines, race, religion, politics, sexuality, whatever it happens to be. So no comparisons. Everything is its own thing. Nothing's better, nothing's worse, none of that. No blame. So that person did that. That person's being themselves. That you allowed yourself in that. Don't blame yourself either for blaming. Okay, just recognize, you know, my choice is it's not do I blame this person? It's do I choose to be in this situation, or do I choose to modify it, or do I choose to leave it? This is all my choice, and I make those choices based on how it feels to me, not
Mm-hmm.
by the rational. Well, let's see, eight reasons in the plus column, five in the negative. As I feel like being with them, and if not, then I modify it or I leave. So no
Mm.
blame, and which goes with no fault at the same time, no guilt. Let go of any guilt. Um, no judgment. Being a good Jewish kid, I can talk about the Jesus fellow who said, "Judge not, lest you be judged." He's a very wise man. Beautiful being, and because when we're judging other people, it's really self-judgment that we're projecting outward onto them. And this funny thing happens when you stop judging other people. Everybody's okay. It's just a matter of my choice if I want to be with them or not, and how do I choose to be with them. Um, all of a sudden, all the self judgment, I'm not good enough, I'm not, uh, melts. That's where judge not
Mm.
let you become judge comes from.
Can I clarify that a little bit? Let's say you're in a relationship that maybe isn't a healthy one,
Mhm.
whether it be a marriage or a friendship or work situation. And you start seeing red flags, is that when are you saying you get out of that? Or because we were talking
Not
about
necessarily.
when you were talking about don't make a judgment, I guess the reason I was questioning that or don't judge others is because sometimes you have to make a judgment for your safety, right?
There's a difference between making a decision and a
Okay.
choice versus judging you or the other person as being good or bad.
Okay.
Not
Gotcha.
the same thing. And what you're talking about in relationship, a really good place to begin it would be the fifth thing I mentioned, which is no expectations. Stop
Yeah.
having expectations on other people or yourself.
I heard the best saying about when you place expectations on others, they're just premeditated resentments.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you like that?
They don't work. They don't work to make you happy. And if you want
Expectations, you
something,
mean? Yeah.
expectations, yeah.
Yeah.
So you give when you feel like giving, otherwise don't. And they will give if they feel like giving, and then it will work or it won't. So here's the thing: you're just talking about the relationship thing. What do I do if you know, if this other person's? I'm going to frame it in different ways. Well,
Okay.
this other person's not perfect. Um, so should I leave? No, because that gives you permission not to be perfect. Also, you didn't need
Hmm.
it. You're not needing to be. You're not looking for somebody who's perfect, but you want it to work. So, number one, what feels good in the relationship? What feels bad? Let the other person know without blame or fault. honey, I just, that makes me feel really horrible when I feel like you're dumping on me or or finding fault with me or whatever. Don't blame them. You're a son of a bitch mother, blah, 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 because you do
Yeah.
this and this. That's Don't fault them. But I feel badly when I feel what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes a very different thing. It's taken differently because instead of the person
Mm-hmm.
getting defensive, then they can start to care about your feelings. So one, make a statement of how you feel. That's part of feeling your feelings, and then to people who you care about, express them. People you don't
Mm-hmm.
care about may not be worth it. Just being aware of the feelings and a no may be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once you've done that, you'll see what changes. But the change you can make about no blame, no fault, no guilt, no judgment, no comparisons, no expectations, that can shift the whole relationship. There's a simple trick. If you find the person you may have gotten to the point where you hate them and you can't stand being with them, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's time to leave, but try this anyway. We talked about the no blame, no fault stuff. Um, but find one or two or three things in them that you really like. Think back to when you first met him. You said, God, he's got a
Mm-hmm.
nice bum, or he's got this great sense of humor. Find a few things you like and only focus on those things for 6 weeks. Even though he does something that normally would get your goat, it's like, okay, I'm giving myself a vacation from noticing that for 6 weeks. You let it go by. You break the patterns. What usually happens is one of two things. Either only those things that you like will then start to show in your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I love that. And relationships are take all different forms, not just spouses, but workmates and family relationships, friendships, and all that. And
Hmm.
and sometimes it is time to leave.
Yes.
But if you're finding yourself more unhappy than happy,
Hmm. Well, it's time for, it depends if it's somebody who you just met, sitting next to you on the bus, then it may not be worth the investment. You just get up and go to another seat,
yeah,
and say, well, I think I want to see the view on the other side and
yeah,
see, bye. Um, but if it's somebody who you're married to, has children with maybe, or it's a parent, that's there's a tendency now to just ghost people very quickly,
mm-hmm,
which I don't think is really healthy.
mm-hmm,
And but on the other hand, you've got to set your boundaries. You've got to be
yeah,
able to say no, and you've got
mm-hmm,
to. So once you set your boundaries and you filter feelings and then the other things we talked about, and then you'll see whether they will make modifications. And you may find that, no, it's like my mom, was in Auschwitz, and she said that it would be much easier to have died. The reason I lived is that I figured I would make a whole bunch of Jewish kids that would be good Jewish boys and girls, and to replace the ones that Hitler killed, and thus I'm going to defeat him. So basically, if I was who I chose to be instead of who my mother decided I was going to be,
yeah,
Hitler won.
yeah,
Okay, and here I am 5 years old. Um,
yeah.
so I had to learn to set boundaries to the point where I would say, "Mom, I'm not going here," and I'd hang up. She had me in the car one day going down the highway. I was driving, and she figured he can't get away now. She started launching into this stuff. I screeched over to the side of the road and said, "Out of the car," and that's what it took to get her to change. So yes, it's important to set your boundaries with people, but it's not necessary to ghost them or leave them. There's times that it is, but that's not the first step.
Yeah. And people I work with, especially with family and especially with people, well, parents are a good example where you have some responsibility as they age, where you can't just leave aging parents, but just limiting exposure. I
Yes,
seems to be a nice middle ground. Just limit your exposure the best you can. And,
and set your boundaries.
and
They may come
boundaries,
to
yeah.
a point where they're so mentally feeble that they can't hear the boundaries,
Absolutely,
and
totally.
then you start shifting like you would when the 2-year-old. Okay, having a
Right.
tantrum, but it's not. It's no longer my mommy is having a tantrum and me. Ah, what do I do? It's more like the 2-year-old is having a tantrum because the roles have switched. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, settle down. Here's something to eat. I'll see you later. Uh, you know,
I think it's pretty impressive that I don't know how old your mom was at that age, but I think it's pretty impressive that she would make a change because I have found in the people that I know that are aging, change just doesn't, they just don't want to.
yeah,
They just don't want to.
yeah. So find those things you enjoy in a person, and focus on those and be present for those. And the things that really annoy you, say, tell them how you feel. Sorry, I'm not going there. That's annoying. But if they keep doing it anyway, it's like, okay, I'll see you later.
Hmm. Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'll see you never. I'll see
Yeah.
you later.
Yeah. I think that's fair. That's totally fair. And how much more calm do you feel knowing that that's an option that I can leave whenever I need to leave?
I feel safe because we're in the
Yes.
past where if I wanted to stand up for myself, to justify that, I had to build this whole case that I made bigger and bigger
Yes.
and bigger until I felt
Yes.
justified and blowing my top and going like, ah,
Yeah. Hmm.
where now it's like, no, well, I really need you to do that because you're the one. No, sorry, bye.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And then your nervous system is protected and it's like Pavlovian's dog. You keep doing that, and
Mm,
either they'll catch on or they'll get less of you.
yes, or they'll
Beautiful.
leave, or you'll
Yeah.
leave. As
Yeah.
a choice. But again, it doesn't need to be a first choice. You can pick the parts of people that you want, be
Mhm.
more than we think. So step one, feel your feelings, let go of them. Step two is regain your power by making it a no fault system. Other people are not responsible for how you feel, and you're not to blame. You're just doing the best you can. But
Hmm.
if you're not liking the way you feel, here's ways you can do, and then you can start making choices. But as long as you're saying, well, I'll feel better when Joe changes, you're screwed. Sorry. You're putting your power in it. So no fault, and make life a no fault system. And then step three is to focus on what feels good. Just like you wouldn't put food in your mouth that tastes horrible, don't choose experiences. It's okay to walk away from and shift your attention from things that feel bad and keep them on things that feel good to you, that you enjoy. Just like you eat foods that you enjoy. Same thing.
So this is interesting since our listeners are recovering from the effects of ultra processed food. They might think, oh, well, what feels good is that cheeseburger and fries or the chocolate or the milkshake or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Yeah, it does for about 20 minutes, and then you feel
Yeah, or hitting that
terrible.
person over the head with a 2x4. Yeah, that would feel good for
Yeah,
about 20 minutes. So the step part two to keep your attention on what feels good.
yeah,
Um,
keep going.
so there's keep your attention on what feels good. And if what feels good is focusing on the cheeseburger, I'm okay with that if that feels good. But if you're going to eat it and it doesn't, the next question is, well, how does that work for you? So, for example, I wrote How to Beat Sugar Addiction because I was a sugarholic, and I have
Hmm.
a sweet tooth. I love my sweet tooth. I feed my sweet tooth, but I feed it with sugar-free stuff. I won't add the sugars, so I'll use stevia. I'm good with that. But my body, I'm one of the lucky ones genetically who loves the taste of stevia. So it's like heroin. Hey, that sure feels good, but it doesn't work
Yeah.
very well for you. So how does it do? What feels good, and then how's it working for you?
Yeah, I love
Those
that
two
second
things.
question. I love that second question. So, for someone who's been disconnected from their emotions for years, maybe where they're using food to cope, how do they begin to identify what they're actually feeling?
Okay. It can be tricky because we try to think what we're feeling, and it's not a mind thing.
Yes.
So things that turn off the mind, like music, nature, tequila, there's all kinds of ways to do that. So see what feels best to you and what works. Okay, so
Yeah.
it goes back to that, and so just giving yourself that space and realize that it's okay to feel what to feel. There's not a need. Don't try to understand it. Don't even try. Just feel it, feel it, feel it. Um, but sometimes we're so armored that before we can get to that, um, it we talked in previous shows about the trembling technique, how the body's way we, if we were in situations like physical abuse, like, sexual abuse, alcoholic parents, that kind of thing, where we were children, we couldn't run, we couldn't hide, so we froze. It's what the possum state is in animals, where they look like they're dead and they're frozen and they're numb. And that would happen repeatedly. And there's a way to release that state that animals do naturally, but people tend to block because we feel silly doing it. But it's trembling. It's where the expression shake it off comes from. And if you go ahead and you feel like shaking sometimes, especially when you're by yourself, if you're with others and you feel silly, just let yourself know we're by ourselves. When we do that, we'll do that then. But when you feel the trembling come up, let it happen because it'll release layer after layer of this muscle memory and trauma that was stored. And then suddenly this whole armoring you have against feelings to block them out starts to melt and you'll start to notice feelings will come through. And then when you notice a little wisp of the feeling, just let it be, nurture it, feel it, and honor, invite it in. And again, you're not doing anything with the feeling. You're not trying to fix it. It's not broken. You're not trying to understand it. You're simply letting yourself feel it. And you may be shocked at what you feel because your feelings are authentic.
When you talk about, like, I think about a dog shaking it off, like he might hear a
Hmm.
noise or something, and, they just do a little
Yep.
shake. Are you saying just do it when feelings come up, or is it something that you preemptively do, like
No, no.
on a
You,
routine
you don't make
basis?
yourself tremble. The trembling will happen naturally.
Okay, I see.
You just need, when it does happen, let it.
Yes, I
Don't
hear you
suppress
now.
it like most people do. The feelings are different things. When feelings come up, feel them. The trembling comes up, tremble.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You don't
Yeah,
have to go looking for them.
yeah. Let's shift gears just a little bit because our audience usually are people that might be trying to lose weight because they're fighting against this environment where they're addicted and they're living in this obesogenic world and in an environment that is set up to make them fat, sick, and miserable. And it's very difficult. So, a lot of people might say, I'm going to be happy when I finally lose the weight or fix my health. So, from a
Mm,
physiological standpoint, could waiting for happiness actually delay the healing? Because if they say, I
mhm.
can't be happy until,
Yeah,
I guess you could substitute anything. I'm not going to be happy until.
you're putting a stress on yourself. And that
Hmm.
chronic stress increases cortisol production and increases other things that affect sleep, all these things that cause weight gain.
Hmm.
So and also, this image we have socially of you need to be starved to perfection. It's you look in the Middle Ages, you look at the grandmasters, the women had substance. They had tummy. They had, I live in Hawaii, and essence of beauty then was 300 pounds. I mean, it's like
Oh,
you needed somebody to carry you around. That was, it's just cultural, and our cultural approach sucks. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy. So number one, you are beautiful just as you are, because you
hmm.
are, and you can go ahead then and decide, well, I'd like to shift it a bit. Okay, so if you start with acceptance, and again, you don't, if you wait for anything to make you happy, you're not going to draw what it is until you're happy. Start with letting
Yeah.
yourself be happy and choosing to be happy. It'll be funny. Choosing to be happy creates happiness, and you draw all the things that you thought would make you happy. It's just how what I found it works after 71 years, 73 years now. Okay, who's counting? 31 is what I feel. So, um, the yeah, start with the happiness, start with the feelings, do the simple things. When you have in touch with your feelings, you will know, okay, do I really feel okay at my weight and I'm just feeling like I need approval or things? Or do I really feel like, yeah, I'd feel better with 10 pounds less than 20? And then the diet thing for the guys, cutting out sugar, like sodas especially, they will often drop, but am suspecting most of the women, the people watching are females.
Hmm.
And with females, it's not just the sugar, it's the carbs in general. You talk to any farmer, you have a cow and you want to fatten up the cow, you don't give it protein, you give it carbs. Um, and carbs will cause the weight gain. So switching to a keto type diet can often, one, leave people feeling a lot better. But two, it facilitates the weight gain. Other things too, sleep. If you're giving yourself your 8 to 9 hours sleep a night, you increase growth hormone, and you take care of the leptin, the ghrelin, the ghrelin, the different appetite hormones. This research shows that getting optimal sleep relative to poor sleep is associated with an average 6.5 pound weight loss. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so simple things like sleep. You take a good multivitamin, like the energy revitalization drink mix. Suddenly, you're not. The American diet has lost half of its vitamins and minerals in food processing. We are all nutritionally deficient if we're not supplementing.
Yeah.
Um, and so, energy revitalization drink mix, all of a sudden, your body feels like, oh, I have what I need, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
constantly craving these other things. If you
Mm-hmm.
get irritable when hungry, hangry, that's adrenal fatigue. So your adrenal stress handler, so we talked about turn off media that feels bad, that leaves you angry or scared, and turn that off. Just don't even go there. Um, but if you get that irritable when hungry, recurrent infections that take forever to go away, crash with stress, adrenoplex, cut down the sugar, cut out the unnecessary stress, and a supplement called adrenoplex smooths that right out. Many of you get what I call the happy Twinkie hunter. You're going through the cabinets looking for something sweet to eat, but you feel fine. It's just you're not angry. It's you don't see all your family hiding and to go hide in the closet or something. It's happy, but you notice it has some irritable bowel syndrome, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, maybe some sinus congestion, nasal congestion, postnasal drip, kind of thing. That's candida overgrowth. Doctors don't even recognize that it exists, but it's a major contributor to the sugar craving. And then berberine, B-propolis. I use a medication, fluconazole, for 6 weeks. You knock it out, and not only do the sugar cravings go away, the pain, the fatigue, the brain fog, all these other things tend to improve as well. So simple measures that can, one, decrease the sugar craving, improve how you feel, and help you lose weight.
Yeah, it sounds like when we're talking about happiness here, there's a lot of preemptive things that you do to set the stage to allow happiness to naturally occur.
Yes.
And I mean, it'd be nice if it just was natural and that it just happened on its own. But I do think there are some steps that you do need to set in place. I do agree it's a choice, but I do also agree that in those choices, there are some choices you can make to put the wheels in motion to set yourself up to have greater access to being happy. Is that a good way to put it?
Well, Paige, you said you wished it was natural. And as we started the show, we talked about look at the 2 year old, look at the 1 year old. They are naturally happy until they feel something. And then they don't sit there and go, well, should I have a tantrum? I don't know if it's okay for me to cry. It's like, I don't know, and they don't go through all that stuff. They feel what they feel. And
Yeah.
then they let go of it. I hate you, mommy. Okay, better now. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. So you don't have to wait on anything to change to be happy.
Yeah.
Again, as you said before, it's not that you get happy when these things you want come. It's when you decide to be happy and are happy, then those things naturally come. Being happy is natural if we just get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And
So, thinking about my audience, setbacks come in recovery, right? They might have a binge, or I call it a sidestep. How does someone protect their mental health, their, happiness quotient whenever things like that happen? Because you feel so hopeless and discouraged and frustrated, and it's really hard to tap into just choosing to be happy and things like that. So, do you want to
you went
talk to that
20
a little
days
bit?
without a binge. You went 20 days without a binge and 1 day with a binge. You've got a 95% score of success. That's an A.
Mhm.
Pat on the back. It is fine. When you have your binge, enjoy it. No guilt. Just enjoy it and then get back on the wagon the next day. You do another 20 days without a binge and you have 1 day with a binge. Good. You're still doing a 95% success rate.
Hmm. I hear what you're saying. It's mindset. It's
Yeah.
big picture mindset.
And here's the thing, Paige. If you're feeling all guilty with a binge, you binge more because of the guilt. You're trying to handle the guilt and the shame and the rest by sugar craving, by sugar loading. But once you're just enjoying it and go, okay, yeah, this today I'm doing this, you won't binge as much.
Mm. There are three daily practices from your book that create the greatest impact on both mood and physical well-being. Do you want to end with that? Do you want to share about that?
Which ones? Because I wrote this book about 30 years ago. So
Okay, well, no, I don't. I don't know the answer to that. So I bet that we would probably have already um,
I
covered
think we
that
covered.
unless there is something that stands out that you think is the greatest, most important thing that you must do or have in your life in order to uh, tap into happy.
Again, it boils down to authenticity. So the question is, how do I know what's authentic to me? And that's the thing about feelings. Most of our thoughts are simply programming that we've received as children from media, from our teachers, from our parents, from our religion about who we need to be to get approval and be good boys and girls. That's still what our mindset largely is. It has no idea who we are. And then all those parts of ourselves that don't fit that image are suppressed. That's called our shadow. Our shadow is not the evil part that wants to go kill little Jimmy. It's a part that feels like it wants this or wants to feel or just wants to rest or whatever it happens to be. It's the things that socially don't fit. So our brain will not know who we are. Our feelings know what's authentic to us. If it feels good, then and I want to distinguish between types of feelings that are just a high from sugar or something like that. That's why how does it feel and how does it work? But generally, things that feel good are authentic to who we are. And it may differ from person to person. Some person may love getting their hands in the garden, where I have a black thumb. You know, I have a really good with healing, but with plants, I think I overwatered them. But um, so you see what feels good to you. You know, my wife feels really good with kitty cats. You know, you may
Hmm.
be a dog person. And it's not one is better or worse. Um, so you see what feels good to you, and then you start to get a picture of who you are,
Yeah.
and then you give yourself permission to be that while letting go. You don't have to fight the things that don't feel good. You just graciously let them go, even if it takes a no to
Yeah.
do it. Um, and that creates happiness because authenticity. You're going to have feelings along the way of grieving and anger and the rest. I love a good hissy fit. You ask my wife, you ask any of the neighbors 2 blocks over, does Dr. T like to have a good screaming hissy fit? Oh yeah, I love a good self-righteous hissy fit once in a while.
Self-righteous.
You know?
I've heard that your actions drag your emotions. So let's say um, Johnny at work is a real pain in the tuchus, but I just say to myself before I go into work, I really like Johnny. I've heard he's a good dad. He can write a good report. That eventually your emotions will catch up if you just self-talk and tell yourself, focus on the positive, in other words. Do you agree
First,
with that?
if you have felt their feelings first, God, he
Okay.
really pisses me off, and I feel like strangling the bastard, and he
Mm-hmm.
gets me really annoyed and the rest. And once you felt that and acknowledge, yeah, I feel that, then you realize this is my experience of it, and I'm not a victim of this. I get it's how I'm taking it in, and what.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to play a game of I'm just going to notice the things that feel good. I will
Yeah.
graciously say no to the things that don't, or ignore those
Mm-hmm.
because if you get a reaction, then you're hooked. You just ignore them
Gotcha.
as if they didn't
Gotcha.
say anything. And then from there, you do the thing of focusing on the things that feel good. But first, you need to feel what you feel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you do an affirmation that's not honest, and your psyche goes, "Really? Let me show you." You know,
Beautiful. I love that. And I'll end on this because we live in a society of instant gratification, right? So we want to know, okay, well, I'm going to do Dr. Teitelbaum's tips, but I want to know how long it's going to take before I feel happy. Don't you
hmm
think that starting to shift your mindset really instantaneously, you can start to feel better when you work on gratitude, silver linings, reframing, things like that, that you can turn things around really pretty quickly. It's not
it
like
can be.
it'll be 6 weeks. It
It
takes
can be really quick.
practice.
It'll get more and more. You'll start
Yeah.
to see and feel the shifts quickly.
Yeah.
But as you start to feel the feelings, the anger, the rage, all the different feelings, and then you let
Hmm.
go of them, you're going to feel happier and lighter and it'll clear. It happens pretty quickly.
Yeah. Beautiful. I
But start by
really,
choosing to feel happy and to be happy.
yeah, I agree with you. I do agree that it is a choice. And just because it's a choice doesn't mean it's going to happen instantaneously. It means you're going to start working towards that goal, right? Is
It,
that?
it also doesn't mean that you're going to be happy every moment. You don't want to be happy every moment. I'm happy probably 99% of the time. Um, and sometimes, like I mentioned, I'm having a good hissy fit and I'm, having my anger, my grief, or my self-righteous, rants against the government or whatever it happens to be. Um, but I realize that's my choice.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
mine. And I'm doing it because I feel like doing it because this is what I'm feeling. And then when I'm done with that, I let it go.
Yeah. Is we'll finish with this. Do you have a step one or a place where people can start that want to make a change in their life?
Well, simply see what feels good and say no. It can be done if you do it early on before you get all worked up. A simple, oh no, I could, and walk away. It's
Hmm.
very hard for other people to hook that. If you're going, no, it's like, oh, they've got you. But it's
Hmm.
okay to do that too. But a simple, oh no, thank you, and walk away. It's like the energy vampires have no place to hook you when you do that.
Hmm.
Um, so simply note, give your brain some time off, see how it feels. And I'll give you a simple thing. If people say, I don't know where I want to get to or who I am or how I want to get there. So, simple thing, see what feels good, flow in that direction. Uh, can say no or just ignore the things that don't feel good and just start shifting that way. It will get you where you want to go. And you
Hmm.
may not see where it's taking you, but you do that and you
Hmm.
see how it works out for you for course corrections. Um, yeah, choose to keep your attention on what feels good.
Love it. I love it. And then everything falls in line.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Do you want to say again where people can find you?
So there's only the ebook for Three Steps to Happiness. There's some people have a listing for the hard copy book, which is you're going to get the wrong book. So just get the ebook, Three Steps to Happiness. For those of you who have things like pain, fibromyalgia, fatigue issues, that are diabetes interfering with your life, you can email me at fatiguedoc@gmail.com and ask for information sheets on specific topics. The ones I have, I can send to you. For the supplements, very simple things. For overall feeling great, the Energy Revitalization Drink Mix is the best multivitamin in the world. It's just really,
Gonna
really
have
good
to
and it'll
try
really
that.
help your mood. If you have depression, there's a product called Saffron Lift, or there's a curcumin plus saffron combination, but the saffron lift is quite good. Simple things, 5-HTP, 400 milligrams a day, less if you're on an antidepressant. My website is endfatigue.com, so ENDFATIGUE.com. And I carry these, but these are available thousands of places online, health food stores, readily available stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. I love this two-part series that we've done with you, and you've just been such a valuable guest, a real joy to be with and entertaining. Most importantly, you've been very entertaining.
Oh, that makes me
Thanks.
blush.
And if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at realfoodrecovery4u.com. That's the number four and the letter U. And our book, Real Food Recovery, If Food Isn't the Answer, What's the Question, is out on Amazon today. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.